Alright guys, Jameson and Alex here. Today we're taking a break from the Van Richten series so that we can jump into the newly released Mages of Strixhaven Unearthed Arcana, which is brand new. The book is supposed to be coming later this year, so we'll do more details on that later. But we are doing a giveaway for D&D Beyond Players Bundle, so make sure you like, subscribe, comment down below to be entered in that giveaway.
Yes.
But there's a lot going on here, so we're just going to jump straight into the video. So, there are just basic foundation for this UA here.
Right.
There are 5 subclasses, but with these subclasses, they are not only for a specific class.
Nope.
So, for example, some of them are for, like, the first one is Lorehold. It can be for the Bard, the Warlock, or the Wizard.
Yep.
So we'll get into the details of the complications to that in a bit. But basically, each of these 5 ones has at least 2 or 3 different classes that it can be used with.
And it's all with the full casters minus Cleric.
Yes. So it is Bard, Sorcerer, Warlock, Druid, and Wizard are the options.
Some combination thereof between.
So the way this works, essentially, because you might be thinking, the subclass features of these classes don't get the same abilities at the same time. So, for example, Wizards get their subclass abilities at 2nd level, at 6th level, at 10th level, and at 14th level. That's when they get their subclass abilities.
Yep.
Whereas the Bard only gets subclasses choices at 3rd level, 6th level, and 14th level.
Yes.
And, for example, the Warlock gets it at 1st, 6th, 10th, and 14th, and the Sorcerer gets it at 1st, 6th, 14th, and 18th.
Yep.
So you might be thinking, how can they share classes, or share the subclasses? Well, it's complicated. that's the summarization
that's
of how
the right
it works.
answer.
Basically, all of the abilities on here, it will say level minimum is like level 1 plus.
Yes.
So they have to be at least level 1 to get it. So, for example, all of these subclasses have a level 1 ability. They have 2 level 1 abilities that are level 1 plus. So that means the Sorcerers and Warlocks will get it at level 1, but the Bard won't get it until level 3, and the Warlock or Wizard and Druid won't get it until level 2.
Yes. Complicated.
Yeah, we'll explain that a little bit.
And
better
really, and to be honest, the Bard's really one that makes that the most complicated because everybody else is getting it at 1 or 2, and they're getting 4 total. Whereas the Bard doesn't get their first one until 3 and only gets 3 total.
Yeah, so they have to choose, it specifically says in the UA here, which I think needs to change before the final edit to figure out some kind of way to either work Bards in or just remove them completely because it doesn't really make sense.
I agree.
But basically, it says, for example, if you're a Bard with the Mage of Lorehold subclass, at 14th level, you gain your choice of either the 10th level ability or the 14th level ability. You don't get both capstones, you only get to choose one.
Right. To try to keep this thing as boxed in as possible.
That's the big asterisk at the beginning.
Yeah, that's the thing we had to kind of go over. Outside of that, we do have 5 new subclasses to go over. Granted, this is UA. It is Unearthed Arcana. It's not official. This just literally got announced, got dropped.
Day of recording Tuesday.
Day of recording Tuesday. So, and for a book that's not coming out until November, we've got some time for them to make changes and whatnot. So, starting off with the Mage of Lorehold, which is for Bard, Warlock, or Wizards to pick between. A couple of these, not all of these, do get extra spells. This is one of the ones that does get spells. And there's joy right
Warlocks
here.
Get free spells.
Right when he walks in the door. It's like, you know what my favorite thing about this whole thing is? Like, yes, I know exactly what it is. And I knew what it was. Because it says, you learn the cantrip Sacred Flame and the first level spell Comprehend Languages. You learn additional spells when you reach certain levels, as listed below. Each of these spells count as a class spell for you, but doesn't count against the number of spells you know. Warlocks, you're welcome.
Really enjoy this.
And of course, if you're a wizard, you get to add these to your spellbook without expending any gold, and you can then prepare them as normal. So, finally, Warlocks getting a little extra help.
Yes.
The other level 1 ability is the Ancient Companion, and this is the meat of this entire subclass. So think Ranger, think Battlesmith, Artificer. I couldn't think of what the subclass was called there for a second. You want a magic pet? It's not just a familiar? We got you right here. Whenever you finished a short or long rest, you call forth and bond with one such spirit who comes to inhabit a medium freestanding statue within 10 feet of you. And there's a list of stat blocks down below, and uses your proficiency bonus in several places. And you choose which type of spirit, either a healer, a sage, or a warrior. And there are a couple of extra different abilities at the start based on which one of those you choose. And then as you level up, there's extra bonuses you get per each one. Just like in Revised Ranger, I emphasize Revised Ranger. It only takes the dodge action on its turn unless you use a bonus action to take another action on its stat block. If you're incapacitated, it can take any action at once. As an action, you can touch the Ancient Companion and expand a spell slot of first level or higher. The Ancient Companion regains a number of hit points equal to 10 times the level of the spell slot expended and perishes if it drops below 0 hit points. When you bond with a new Ancient Companion at the end of a short rest or long rest, or when you die, companion perishes, the spirit returns to its plane of origin, statue becomes inert object once again.
Yes, so you can't revive it once it's down. You just have to take a short rest to reanimate it, basically.
Yeah. And you can change which of the 3 types every time you redo this process.
Right, whenever you resummon it, you can change it to a different one. Though there will probably be reasons which ones you want to take at what point, which I'll explain here in a minute. But with the actual companion itself, I'll put the stat block on here so you can actually get the idea on here. As you'll notice in the armor class, it has a normal armor class of 14, but if you choose the warrior, it adds +2 to that, making it a 16.
Makes sense.
It does get 5 times your level in the class, +5 hit points, and uses d8s. Something to take in mind there. There's all the stats on there. I'll just have it on the screen. You can read that. It does have Ancient Fortitude, which is kind of like Undying, or Undead Fortitude, I believe it's called, for zombies.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So like if they are going to die, they can do a DC of 5, plus the damage taken as a con save to go to 1 hit point instead, essentially. Unless it is a critical, I believe, is the asterisk on there.
Yep.
So something to keep in mind. And then if you are a sage companion here, while within 15 feet of the companion, you and your allies get +2 bonus to intelligence and wisdom checks.
Yes.
So nice little thing on there. Actions, gets melee attack, and if it is the healer, it gets another ability. Companion chooses a creature it can see within 15 feet of itself and flares with Invigorating Light. Creature gains 1d8 plus your proficiency bonus temporary hit points. And then also, if it is the warrior, it gets a reaction where it can basically impose a creature within 5 feet of it, makes a strength or dex save. The companion can impose itself between the creature and danger. The creature can roll a d4 and add the number rolled to the saving throw. So a nice little bonus on there. And then we have the Lessons of the Past at level 6+. I say 6+ because, again, that's the asterisk on there, depending on what class you pick on here. The healer gets extra bonus on here, which is your hit point maximum increases by an amount equal to your level in the class, and you gain the same number of hit points. Just it raises your max and
your max and your current with it. Yeah.
And you regain an additional 1d8 hit points when you regain hit points from a spell. So nice little way to heal up a little bit there. The Sage, you have advantage on ability checks using Arcana, History, Nature, and Religion skills. Additionally, once per turn, when you deal damage to a creature with a spell of first level or higher, you can deal an additional 1d8 force damage to the creature. And then Warrior, if you use your action to cast a cantrip, you can make 1 weapon attack as part of that action. If that weapon attack hits, the target takes an additional 1d8 radiant damage. When you bond with a new companion, you immediately lose the benefits of the previous one and gain the benefits of the new one. That's what you're saying. You can swap them out as you so choose.
Yeah, but you'll get to keep the increased max HP one. If you switch over to the other one, you do lose that.
And then just a little side note on here. I think just generally the Bard is going to be best with the Healer because they have healing spells.
Yes.
Generally. And then the Sage is probably best with the Wizard. And that kind of, because you have a lot of first level spells. You don't really... you could do it as a bard too, I guess, but it's probably going to be best with a wizard because you have the most versatility of those.
You'll have the most spell choices because you have a spell book that you have all the spells you want in it.
And then that kind of leaves the warlock with warrior, which actually works somewhat decent.
Well, bards at least have light armor, as do warlocks,
weapons,
where wizards don't.
Right, exactly.
On to 10 plus. For War Echoes. Once per turn, when the creature you can see hits a target with an attack roll, you can use your reaction to force the target to make a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC. On a failure, the target becomes vulnerable to one type of damage dealt by this attack. The vulnerability lasts until the end of the target's next turn and affects the damage dealt by the triggering attack. So if you see one of your allies is about to smoke somebody and it's the paladin, he's got a big old slashing sword, he's like, oh, okay. He's going to be vulnerable to slashing damage if he fails the saving throw, but he's also vulnerable to all slashing damage until the end of his next turn.
Yes.
You can use your reaction a number of times equal to proficiency bonus and gain all expended usage to finish a long rest. So just reaction, make somebody take extra damage for essentially a round, being smarter, but make sure you try to use that where you can get the most bang for your buck. Once you kind of know where in the initiative order your target's going, you don't want to burn that on your first turn and find out, oh, he's going after you.
Right. And then lastly, your level 14 plus ability, History's Whims. As a bonus action, you enter a state of chronal chaos. When you enter the state at the start of each of your subsequent turns, you gain one of the following benefits of your choice, either luck, resistance, or swiftness. Luck being you receive brief flashes of the future. Whenever you make a saving throw against an effect that deals damage, you roll a d6 and add the number rolled. Resistance. You have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, and swiftness. Your movement speed increases by 15 feet and do not provoke opportunity attacks. Benefit lasts until the start of your next turn. You can't use the same benefit 2 rounds in a row, which, okay, sure. The state lasts for 1 minute and ends early if you're incapacitated. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest unless you expend a spell slot of 4th level or higher to use it again. Yeah, so interesting little way to get some bonus action utility on there.
Indeed.
Basically.
That does it for the first one. We're trying to read through all these, maybe give our quick overview thoughts on the pieces as a whole. So, on to...
If we're talking too fast, go to the little gear at the bottom. 0.75 speed, 0.5 speed. We're trying to keep this relatively short.
Yeah,
so.
while going over all these things at once, because normally we would do these one subclass at a time, and when these become official in a new book come November, they will get their own individual video. So the next up is Mage of Prismari, which is for Druid, Sorcerer, and Wizard. Their first 2 things they get, just creative skills, so notice no extra spells for this one. 3 of the 5 get spells, this one does not. You get 2 of the following skill proficiencies: acrobatics, athletics, nature, or performance. And also you have kinetic artistry. You can dash as a bonus action. When you take this bonus action, you choose one of the following additional effects. You have Boreal Sweep. Icy water swirls around you till the end of your turn. You can move across the surface of water as if it were harmless solid ground. Additionally, when you leave a space within 5 feet of a creature, you can force that creature to make a strength saving throw against your spell save DC. On a failed save, the creature is knocked prone. A creature can be affected by the water only once each turn. So you can't run by somebody and then run by them again. Like if they succeed the saving throw, they run back by them and try to knock them down again. It's once per turn. Scorching Whirl, flames wreath around your steps. Once before each of your turns, you can force each creature within 5 feet of you to make a dexterity saving throw against your spell save DC. On a failure, the creature takes fire damage equal to 1d4 plus your spellcasting modifier. And finally, you have Thunder Light Jaunt. You take on a nimble lightning form until the end of your turn. You can move through the space of other creatures, and you do not provoke opportunity attacks. If you end your turn inside a creature, you are pushed to the nearest unoccupied space. You can use bonus action this way a number of times you get proficiency bonus, and you gain all expended uses when you finish a long rest.
Yes. Then at level 6+, we have the Favored Medium. Choose one of the following damage types: cold, fire, or lightning. You gain resistance to that type of damage. Additionally, when you cast a spell using a spell slot that deals the chosen damage type, you emit a spectacular aura, which extends 5 feet from you in every direction, but not through total cover, and lasts until the end of your next turn. While the aura is active, each creature of your choice has resistance to your chosen damage type while within the aura, as you shape your favorite elemental medium around them. You can change your choice of damage type whenever you finish a long rest. So the 5-foot aura, not super massive.
Nope.
But if you know there's a red dragon and you're near someone, you could run over. You could use a fire spell.
Yeah.
Run over next to somebody and give them resistance for both of you for turns.
Yeah, at least you and one other friend can be resistant to that damage.
Right.
Next up, we have Focused Expression. Once per turn, when you deal damage to at least one target, you can gain additional determined effect by the damage type chosen of your favored medium feature. A lot of this stuff is wordy.
It is pretty wordy.
It is. So, going back to whatever element you chose from level 6, that's where it comes into play here. This extra effect. You chose cold. One of the targets of your choice takes an additional 1d6 cold damage. It must make a Constitution saving throw against your spell save DC. On a failed save, the target's speed is reduced by 10 feet until the end of its next turn as ice mires it. A target can be affected by the ice only once per round. So if you have any kind of reaction that lets you pop somebody else for extra damage, you can't then reduce their speed by additional 10 feet. If you choose fire, one of your targets of your choice takes an additional 1d6 fire damage. Fortifying flames then dance around one creature of your choice within 30 feet of you. The chosen creature gains 1d6 temporary hit points. So somebody takes damage, somebody else gets temp HP.
Yep.
One of your targets of your choice, if you choose lightning that is, takes additional 1d6 lightning damage and makes a dexterity saving throw against your spell save DC. On a failed save, the target is unable to take reactions until the end of its next turn.
Sure. And then lastly, we have the Impeccable Physicality at level 14+. You gain proficiency in dexterity saving throws if you do not already have it. Additionally, when you make a dexterity saving throw, you can treat a d20 roll of a 9 or lower as a 10.
So reliable talent for dex saves.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It's decent, especially when you're at level, you're getting up there, you're going to have 15, 16, minimum for a dex save, which is pretty solid.
Never bad.
And then we have next up the Mage of Quandrix, which is a Sorcerer and Wizard subclass. At level 1+, as with all of these, is you learn the cantrip Guidance and first level spell Guiding Bolt.
Yay.
You also learn additional spells, which, if you're a wizard, add to your spellbook upon learning them without spending gold, as with all of these. And the spells on here, we have Enlarge, Reduce, Spike Growth, Aura Vitality, Haste, Control Water, Freedom of Movement, Circle of Power, Pass Wall. So good little mix on there of different spells.
I see Haste.
Yeah, Haste pretty solid. Haste pretty solid. Don't ever overlook Haste. And then also at level 1+, we get Functions of Probability. When you cast a spell using a spell slot that targets at least one creature, you can choose that creature or another creature within 30 feet and add one of the following effects. Either Diminishing Function, the chosen creature must succeed a Wisdom saving throw, or the creature must roll a d6 and subtract the number rolled from the next attack roll it makes before the start of your next turn. These are all very wordy.
Yes, they are. Hence the talking speed of us.
The supplemental function, once before the start of your next turn, the chosen creature can roll a d6 and add the number rolled to an attack roll or saving throw of its choice. The creature can roll the d6 after rolling the d20, but must decide before any effects of the roll occur.
So, quick note to make sure you didn't mishear that, because I had to reread this 4 times to make sure I wasn't missing it. For the diminishing function, it only diminishes against attack roll, but the buff can be used for an attack roll or saving throw for a friend.
It is pretty powerful, though, because it's every time you cast a spell, a leveled spell.
Yes.
So, pretty nice. Just a little extra utility function on there.
I don't dislike that ability.
Right.
Next up at level 6+, because we have to put that on there, is Velocity Shift.
Probably one of my favorite of all of these.
I mean, it's very unique, and I do like unique things that stand out. When a creature you can see starts its turn or moves to a space within 30 feet of you, you can use your reaction to force the creature to make a Charisma saving throw against your spell save DC. Gotta love those, because that hurts. Which it can choose to fail if you're targeting an ally with a disability. That's a good extra wording in there.
Yep.
On a failure, the creature is teleported to an unoccupied space of your choice you can see within 30 feet of you. You can use your reaction this way a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended usage and finish a long rest.
Yes. I just imagine, like, some enemy charging right at you, and as soon as it gets to you, you're like, nope, and they blink right back where they started.
Yeah, like right as they get within 10 feet of you, you're like, nah, over there.
Get back.
Or, better yet, teleport them right next to the barbarian. Or the paladin.
And the rogue.
You go over there.
And then at level 10+, yes. Null Equation. Once per turn, immediately after dealing damage to a creature, force it to make a con save against your spell save. On a failure, creature has disadvantage on strength and dexterity saving throws, and its weapon attacks deal only half damage. These effects last until the start of your next turn. You can use this number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. All uses regained on a long rest. So if you're fighting something that uses weapon attacks, being able to reduce that damage by half is not bad, especially dex saves and strength saves. You can do some good spells on there.
I get a lot more use out of the first half of that than the second half of that.
Yeah.
And finally, at 14+, we have Quantum Tunneling. Your mathematical expertise extends to altering your foundational equations of your very being. All right, Einstein. You gain resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage all the time. That does not say non-magical. That is
correct.
All BPS damage. Additionally, you can move through other creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain, but you take 1d10 force damage every 5 feet you move while inside another creature or object. If you end your turn inside a creature, you are shunted into the nearest unoccupied space you last occupied.
I don't get why you take damage. That doesn't really make sense to me, because there's lots of other subclasses that can just do that, and it's difficult terrain anyway, so why take 1d10 for every 5 feet?
Yeah.
Like,
that seems a little extra. That can be painful.
I mean, and it's force damage. If it was like bludgeoning, it's like, oh, I'm resistant. But you're not. It's force damage.
Yeah.
So, and if you're a wizard, you know,
that's gonna hurt.
It adds up. So yeah, I don't know why that's even there. I don't think it really matters. It should probably not even be there at all.
Nope.
And then we have the next subclass, which is the Mage of Silverquill, which is for the Bard, Warlock, or Wizard. And with this one, at level 1, we get Eloquent Apprentice. You learn one cantrip of your choice, either Sacred Flame or Vicious Mockery. Doesn't count against the number of cantrips you know, and it is added to the spell list if not already there. Additionally, gain proficiency in 2 of the following: Deception, Intimidation, Performance, Persuasion, or Insight. Also at level 1, we get Silvery Barbs. Immediately after a creature you can see within 60 feet of you succeeds on an attack roll, an ability check, or a saving throw, you can use your reaction to demoralize the creature, and Unless the creature is immune to being charmed, it rolls the d20 and must use the lower roll. If the attack roll, ability check, or saving throw then fails, you can choose a different creature you can see within 60 feet of you, including yourself, and that creature is empowered. You can re-roll one attack roll, ability check, or saving throw within the next minute, and use the higher result. Creature can be empowered only once by only one of these features at a time. Once a creature fails an attack roll, an ability check, or saving throw because of a re-roll forced by this feature, you can't use the feature again until you finish a long rest, unless you expend a spell slot to use it again. Yeah, so much to that.
Yep.
And it is really a potent ability.
Yes.
And actually, I mean, I guess it does say, technically, they can roll, and if they don't fail, you could use it again.
Yes.
But you can also use spell slots too, I guess. So
yes, you're going to get that one free use until you actually cause them to fail either their attack or their saving throw.
Right.
Or ability check, even, if you want to go that route with it.
Yes.
Next up at 6+ is Inky Shroud. You learn the Darkness spell, and it is added to your spell list. If it wasn't already, if you're a wizard, you can add that to your spell book if it's not there already. You can cast this spell without spending a spell slot. You can't do so again if you finish a long rest. So once a day for free.
Yes.
When you cast a spell in this way, you can normally see through the darkness created. When a creature you can see starts its turn in the darkness, you can deal 2d10 psychic damage to that creature. No save, no nothing, just get smacked.
Not too shabby.
You can also cast a spell normally without the additional effects by using spell slots you have of second level or higher. So you only get the fun...
The buff for one once.
Yeah, the fun free damage one once per day.
Yes. Then at level 10, we have Infusion of Eloquence. When you cast a spell that deals damage, you can invoke additional words to change the spell's damage type to either Psychic or Radiant. Any creature damaged by the spell takes extra damage equal to your proficiency bonus and has its emotions swayed with despair or adoration, giving additional effects based on the damage dealt. If it was psychic damage, the creature is frightened of you until the start of your next turn. If it was radiant damage, it is charmed by you until the start of your next turn. And you can use this number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, regaining all on a long rest.
And point out, there's no save there.
Right.
For frightened or charmed.
Though it is only till your next turn, but still, that can...
For a round.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, unless they are, of course, they're immune to those conditions, that's going to matter. But if they're just advantage on saving throws against, it's not going to matter because there is no saving throw.
Yes.
And finally, at 14+, we have Word of Power. You can invoke a Word of Power that is the pinnacle of your magical study. You gain the following options. When the target of your, which is Deadly Despair, when the target of your Silvery Barb, or which is your level 1 ability, fails an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw because of the reroll, so again, there's that detailed wording in there, you can invoke a Word of Despair to give the target vulnerability to one damage type of your choice until the start of your next turn. So on top of making them miss an attack, buffing one of your allies so they can try to hit attack, they also get vulnerability to a damage type. And emphasis to the start of your next turn.
Right,
so you won't actually get to benefit from it for yourself, but try to help everybody else out. The other one is Selfless Invocation. Man.
Wordy.
When a creature you can see within 60 feet of you takes damage, you can invoke a Word of Power using a reaction to grant the creature resistance to that damage. However, you take an amount of psychic damage equal to the damage that creature takes.
So you're basically just taking half of the damage, but it's in psychic damage.
So don't really like that one unless you're playing something that's giving you resistance to psychic damage.
Right.
Because then you're just trading your health pool for theirs. And if you're a wizard, you don't ever do that.
Yeah, that's very risky.
Because you've got less health than they do.
I think the vulnerability one's definitely going to be the go-to, but it is based on your silvery bars, which you only can do once a day unless you use a spell slot. But to do that, it is a reaction, so it's not the worst use of reaction for a spell slot, so it could be definitely pretty solid. And vulnerability is a big deal, especially if you pick like a very common damage type.
Yep.
So
problem is not for Warlock because, spell slots. But for Wizard,
so
Wizard and Bard, they've got plenty of spell slots that, getting that extra ability, the buff and the debuff and the vulnerability, extra debuff, might be worth throwing spell slots in for that usage.
And then lastly, and probably my personal favorite on here, the Mage with
two of us.
Our personal favorite.
There we go.
The Druid and Warlock subclass option. With this one, we get 2 abilities at level 1+ again. You learn the cantrip Spare the Dying and the first level spells Cure Wounds and Inflict Wounds. So, good on there.
Spare the Dying cantrip. Underappreciated.
Yeah.
Underappreciated.
You also learn additional spells, because Warlocks, yes, thank you, and these are good spells as well.
This is by far the best spell list of the 3.
Restoration, Ray of Enfeeblement, Revivify, Vampiric Touch, Blight, Greater Restoration, Anti-Life Shell, Mass Cure Wounds.
What a spell list for freebies.
Oh my goodness. That is incredible.
That's probably the best free spell list I have ever seen given a subclass in all of 5th edition. Gonna get nerfed.
Maybe, but Warlocks get free.
Yeah.
Get it for free.
Warlocks casting Revivify.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, so good. Mass Cure Wounds even.
Warlock with Anti-Life Shell.
Anti-Life Shell, Mass Cure Wounds. I mean, they get their spell slots back on short rest if they have spell slots before short rest.
Clap.
Mass Cure Wounds everyone before short rest, get it back.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gross.
Love it. Sorry.
Anyways,
we nerded a little bit there, guys.
Essence tap, level 1+. As a bonus action, you can draw on Reservoir of Life Essence to empower yourself for 1 minute, or until you use the feature again. For the duration, you gain one of the following benefits of your choice, either Overgrowth, when you choose this benefit, and as a bonus action on subsequent turns, while the benefit lasts, you can expend and roll 1 hit die. You regain a number of hit points equal to your number rolled plus your spellcasting modifier.
Yes.
So, you can use your hit die in combat, which... why not? That's actually pretty solid.
And if you needed the health and you've got hit die to spare,
you can't wait for a short rest. You're going to die, so use it then. Or Withering Strike. When you deal damage, you can change the damage type to necrotic, and you ignore resistance to necrotic damage.
That's an important add-on there.
Massive.
Yes.
So
if you're playing an undead-heavy campaign, a lot of stuff resists necrotic damage.
Or even, I mean, just being able to change any spell to necrotic damage, and then you overcome it.
Right, because if you're fighting something that's resistant to fire damage, and your most commonly used spells are fire damage, and you're like, I'll make a necrotic, and you won't resist necrotic damage, so...
Exactly. It's nice. You can use a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. All uses regained on a long rest. So, really like all that.
Really, really, really love both the spell slot and that level 1 ability.
Yeah, super good.
That's fun. Oh, okay, 6+ is the Witherbloom Brew. Pay attention, Alchemist Artificer.
Yeah, right? Seriously.
This is how it's done. When you finish a long rest, you can use an Herbalism Kit, which you now gain proficiency in if you didn't already have. Going back a sentence there. You create a number of brews equal to your proficiency bonus. Each brew requires its own flask. A brew retains its magical potency for 24 hours or until it's used. For each brew, this is important, choose
yes.
one of the following effects. Not roll on a random table, choose. Sorry, soapbox off of. When you create this brew, choose a damage type. This is if you choose fortifying, sorry. When you create this brew, choose a damage type. Following this, cold, fire, necrotic, poison, or radiant. A creature can drink this brew or administer it to another creature as an action. The recipient gains resistance to the chosen damage type for 1 hour. Not a minute, not a round, an hour. Love that. Quickening. A creature can drink this brew or administer it to another creature as an action. The recipient gains 2d6 hit points and 1 disease or condition from the following list of the affected recipient ends. So charmed, frightened, paralyzed, poisoned, stunned.
Yeah. Get that out.
Not redo the saving throw, just get out. Love that. And the last one is toxifying. As an action, a creature can apply this brew to a simple or martial weapon. The next time the weapon or piece of ammunition fired by it hits a creature within 1 hour, the target takes 2d6 poison damage and must succeed on a Constitution saving throw against your spell save DC or be poisoned for 1 minute. By far the worst of those 3.
It's not bad. Being poisoned for 1 minute and you can't resave, that's actually pretty solid. Because you have disadvantage on attack rolls for a minute and they can't resave. That's probably going to change. Because I don't imagine that being on purpose. That seems kind of
I don't know,
ridiculous.
because it is but it's the first time you hit with a creature. It only triggers once.
Yeah, but it lasts for a whole minute and they don't get a chance to resave. I mean, disadvantage. This is
true.
That could be.
But
massive.
it is a con save to start with. So
right.
Early, that's going to be better early on.
Right. Exactly.
Later on, it's going to be. I would much rather have 4 fortifying brews, knowing we're going to fight a red dragon, and we all going to have fire resistance.
Sure.
And the other 2 are quickening to get rid of a frightened because he's got a frightening breath.
To be fair, before we hate too much on the Alchemist Artificer, is at least they do get 3. They're for free. They're random. But then when they use a spell slot to do it, they can choose. But yeah, this you're gonna get I don't know. They're all right. Anyways, also at level 10+, we get Witherbloom Adept. Your connection to the flow of life force deepens. Once per turn, you deal necrotic damage or restore hit points using a spell. One target of the spell takes additional damage or regains additional hit points equal to your proficiency bonus. Sure. I mean, you're going to get a little bit extra.
Nice pairing with the ability from the first level when you can change stuff to
Yes.
necrotic damage. So no matter what spell you're going to do, you can throw extra necrotic damage in. Finally, we have Withering Vortex. And I love this ability because it's very unique. Anytime you cast a spell, it just says spell, that deals necrotic damage to any number of creatures that aren't undead or constructs, important, choose one of the creatures that took damage. You drain an amount of life energy equal to half the damage dealt to the chosen creature. One creature other than yourself, also important, you can see within 30 feet, regains a number of hit points equal to the life energy drained. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. Regain this spell. Also, usually finish a long rest.
Not bad.
Like that. I'm thinking like, finger death.
I mean,
juicy heal. That's what I'm thinking.
That's a solid one. But I mean, even stuff like, for example, like, okay, obviously with this option on here, you're gonna be taking a Warlock because I think the only necrotic damage spell that Druids get is Blight.
Yeah.
So Warlocks on the other hand here, you get Hex, Blight, Vampiric Touch. You're already gonna heal half.
Yep.
So you're actually now, if you do that, you're gonna heal the full amount of the damage you deal.
Well, but half of it's going to somebody else.
But I mean,
you are getting the healing back, full the damage done. Yes.
So pretty good on there. Blight again. I mean, and like Alex said, I mean you have Circle of Death even, like Enervation. I mean, there's some good necrotic spells for Warlocks on here. Though you are limited with spell slots as a Warlock, so take that with a grain of salt if you will.
And it is your limited number of choices, proficiency bonus per day, so you can't just keep popping it all the time.
Exactly.
But
still pretty solid.
But there are options.
Definitely my favorite on that one. And I think just to kind of look at all of these again, I think the biggest downfall of this whole thing is bards really get whacked because they only get 3 of these 4 abilities.
Yes.
With the Lorehold one,
yeah.
the first one with the summoned pet, basically,
yep.
or the animated pet.
We're going to call it a summoned pet.
I think
it's fine.
The wizard is probably the best option for that, just because it seems to make the most sense with the spell slots and everything on there. The bonus with the sage.
Well, to be honest, it's if just don't choose bard because of the whole having to sacrifice one thing.
It's sad having to get rid of something.
Yeah.
And then for the actual for the Prismari, I think again the wizard is a really good choice for that one, and the druid is another.
I think all of those are more balanced compared to some of the other ones.
Look, sorcerers, it's kind of weird. I almost feel like the druid is actually the best with this one. With the Prismari, because
you've got
you're
armor,
knocking people prone too.
Yeah, you can be in animal form, and if you're
or like
somebody
primal savagery, shillelagh, like you can do stuff while they're prone. But if you knock someone down and you're a spellcaster,
it's actually disadvantage on your spell attack rolls. But if you're a druid, like you said, they're on the ground like I'm going to eat now.
Right.
Primal savagery hurts.
And I mean, even here's the only problem with the sorcerer is they don't get the 1, 6, 14, and 18. So they have to wait till 18 to get the capstone versus 14.
Right.
That's the biggest thing.
Because they got to get to 14 to get the 10+ one.
Right.
So yeah,
that's
bards really hurt because they're giving up one, and sorcerers
have to wait.
They're the
4 levels longer.
The first two they're golden on. It's 1 and 6. But
it's the last two have to wait extra 4 levels each.
Yeah, each time.
That's brutal.
So. I mean, if you're trying to min-max these, you're definitely looking at Wizard, Druid, Warlock between each in terms of getting your abilities when you're supposed to get the abilities and not have to get them later.
Right.
In terms of that specifically.
Right. If you're playing a shorter campaign, like a lower level campaign, it's not going to matter as much.
No, for all of them. Really the only one that's going to hurt like is Bard because it doesn't get the first ability until 3. Right. But everybody else is getting them either at 1 or 2.
Right. And even with Silverquill, I think, again, Wizard is just the best. With that one too, just because again they get all the abilities earlier, and I mean with Warlock they don't have spell slots.
Yes.
So that is going to be an issue. But again, and then with the final one, the Witherbloom.
I think both of them can make a hard case.
I think they both are good, but I think Warlock is really where it's at because they get all those necrotic spells.
They do have access to more necrotic.
They have more of that. And
this is true.
And they get the big spell slots back on short rest, which can be huge. So you can cast.
So your anti-life shell, greater restoration, blight, mass cure wound, stuff like that.
You're going to get it back.
You can feel free to back because you're going to get them right back.
Right. So definitely interesting on there. I think probably I was just kind of messing around. I think that something that'd be fun is if you just wanted to do like a blaster.
This thing.
I did like I'm thinking like a 10 levels in Witherbloom Pact of the Talisman Warlock. You're gonna get your 4 subclass features, your 8 free spells, which are awesome. 5 invocations on the Eldritch Blast just to buff it up and take some stuff with Talisman, and then you get your 5th level back at level 10. As well. And then if you take 3 levels in Silverquill Bard, you get the 2 first level ones, which are solid. And then the Song of Rest from Bard, and Jack of All Trades from Bard, and Expertise from Bard.
Most importantly,
for 3 levels.
because the baseline first 3 levels of Bard are stupid for a multi-class.
And then you go 7 levels Quandrix Sorcerer, so you get the 3 subclass features from that. You also get Meta Magic from Sorcerer. You get 6 free spells from that pool on there. And then you get a 4th level spell slot as well from Sorcerer. And the best part is they all are Charisma casters. So your highest spell slot's only going to be level 5.
But you're not worried about. But you're also not worried about dipping into other stats. But you're going to have a lot of utility because you know that all your charisma is there already. So you're not have to worry about.
But you're going to have tons of utility. You're going to have a lot of lower level spell slots, and you're going to have a lot of options. I think that'd be fun. It's probably not optimized by any means, but it would definitely be interesting to try it out. It'd be like a little blaster caster. You're gonna have a big Eldritch Blast
and so much utility because bards exist.
So
there's definitely some things we're thinking they're gonna make changes on here, which have plenty of time to do. First and foremost, what they do with bards, because of the foregoing one of the abilities, it's just weird. And then was like, well, if you say, well, if bard plays one of these, they can go and get all 4. Well, then it kind of makes the rest of Bard subclasses weird because all the rest of their subclasses are only getting 3. But then you can make that argument. So that's the most, I guess, thing that seems out of place, how they're going to work around that.
That's kind of a hurdle they built themselves when they made the subclasses. Not all give every class at the same increments. They kind of brought that upon themselves.
Outside of that, there's definitely some stuff here or there where I'm like, I'd like to see Silvery Barbs once every short rest instead of long rest.
I don't think it's too overpowered.
I don't like seeing subclasses and baseline classes get stuff early on. So levels 1 through 6, you're getting is 2 skill proficiencies and extra cantrip.
I mean, you can use a spell slot for it too. So
you can.
Your level 1 spell slots. I mean, it's probably better than half your level 1 spells. So it's not the worst thing in the world, but.
It feels hurt to me to get a once a day feature that you have to spend other resources to then use as your only thing you get to be level 1 and 6.
It's not crazy.
No,
it's not crazy.
I mean, giving something essentially disadvantage and giving something else an advantage once per short rest, it's not It's not bonkers by any stretch of the imagination.
So really interesting. We'll see how it works out. There's probably going to be lots of either division amongst the community about this, or a lot of people really
I expect a very heavy comment section telling us where we're stupid or where we're geniuses, and where they're stupid and where they're geniuses.
I think none of these are crazy overpowered by any means.
No.
If anything, they're maybe a little weak.
If we're going to lean to one side, I would say undertuned versus over is much more likely here.
And I think one last comment to make before we finish this up, because it's probably already super long. Is it'd be fun to play a campaign or mini campaign where you are these and you all pick the same subclass. So if you have 3 players and you go 3 of you are Silverquill, like a Silverquill Bard, a Silverquill Warlock, and a Silverquill Wizard.
That would be kind of fun.
Prismari Sorcerer, Prismari Druid, Prismari Wizard. And
you were friends in the same. You went to university together.
You were all roommates. You were all roommates. So
in classes together. But that would be kind of fun.
That'll wrap it up for today, guys. Really interesting. Love to read your comments down below. See what's up with that. If you enjoyed the video,
enter for the giveaway.
Yes, subscribe, hit the bell notifications so new videos are coming out. And as always, guys, thanks so much.